going to find the constant of integration by substituting in a particular point into our integrated form. So if we have a look at the mind map, which is provided by the IB and shared on your folder, we are going to have a look at the top right. In this screenshot, we can see the following. We are given a function, such as 3x squared plus x. We then integrate this function into the following, plus c. The aim of the point of this problem is to find out what c is. The way we do this is substituting 10 for y and 1 for x in order to find out what c is. We then substitute that into the problem. We're going to be going over a problem like this in full, and then you can have a go at a few examples yourself. So this says we can find the constant of integration c if we are given a particular value of the function. So this is our question. Find f of x given that f dash of x equals x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3 and f of 0 equals 2. So I need to talk about what each part of this question means. If it gives you f dash of x and it wants you to find f of x, this means you need to integrate. So you might want to pause the video now and write down that if we go from f dash of x to f of x, we are needing to integrate. Likewise, if we were going the other way around, from f of x to f dash of x, we would differentiate because the f dash of x is representing the differentiation process. Now, the last step here just means substitution. But before we get to that, let's integrate this function. Remember, when we integrate a function, we need to integrate every single term. And then if it's an indefinite integral, so it hasn't been given two boundaries, we need to add c. So the first thing we need to do is integrate x cubed. Pause the video and have a think about how you'd integrate this. Excellent. You should have done add 1 to the power x to the power of 4 divided by 4. This one then you add 1 to the power, so it becomes to the power of 3 and then divide by 3. This one, because there's no x with it, you just add an x to it. This should just be a recap. So our answer is going to be the following. X to the power of 4 divided by 4. This has been integrated. Minus 2x, add 1 to the power of 3 divided by 3, divided by the new power, plus 3 of x plus the c. Now the aim of the problem, as briefly discussed, is to work out what c is. So you are going to use this part of the question to find out what c is. The first thing you need to do is have a look at f of brackets. Now we've done this in functions before, but f of something, if this is an f of x function, means that we're going to substitute x for 0. What do you think we're going to substitute y for? Excellent. Hopefully you realise we're going to substitute it for 2. So wherever there's an x, we are going to substitute it for 0. And whenever there's a y or an f of x, because f of x is y, we are going to put 2. So it's going to be the following. 0 to the power of 4 divided by 4 minus 2 times 0 to the power of 3 divided by 3 plus 3 lots of 0 plus c equals 2. Let's see how this works. So if you're quite able at doing algebra quickly, this will not take very long. Effectively, if you're replacing x with 0, all these terms will cancel out because 0 divided by something or 0 times by something is still going to be 0. We know that f of x is going to be 2, so c is simply going to be 2. So to finish off our problem, all we do is substitute c as 2 back into the equation. So we take our integrated equation, replace c with 2, and Bob's your uncle, the question is completed. Let's have a look at the next question. You might want to pause the video before we do it. The curve passes through the point 2, 9, so we can substitute in 2 and 9 into the equation of the curve to find c. This is our equation. So the first thing we're going to want to do is assume that in this question, already part of the question's been done for you. So this is saying in this function, if it's already been integrated, we know it's already been integrated because it's got plus c, which is a constant of integration. We just need to do the last step of this question, which is from this step onwards, where we were substituting in x is 0 and y is 2. So this is just given in a slightly different way. X is 2, y is 9. So wherever there is an x, we're going to put 2. Wherever there's a y, we're going to put 9. This is what you would get. So c is equal to minus 3. Now, if you weren't that happy about doing this algebraically, what you could do is do this on the calculator. This is not always going to work because sometimes you will get a fractional answer of c, and then you'd have to change the table steps, which I'll show you now. So what I would recommend you do, if you're not comfortable with the algebraic manipulation, is go on to the y equals button, which is here, and we're going to press clear. We're going to type in this function 2x to the power of 4 minus 5x squared I'm going to zoom in here to show you the mistakes I'm making. So there's already a power here, so I need to make sure I'm typing things correctly. There we go. And then finally, plus c. So the c is something we want to find out. And actually, the x is something we've got. So rather than writing x to the power of 4, we're now going to replace it and we're going to just simply write 2 to the power of 4. So we'll write 2 brackets 2 to the power of 4 minus 5 brackets 2 to the power of 2 plus. Now, you might find this confusing, but the unknown we want to find is c. So on the calculator, we just have to write x. So the aim is to go to the table and have a look where we have y is 9. What is the value of c? So if we go into the table, we want to look where y is equal to 9. Now you can see where y is equal to 9, we have c, or x, is minus 3. So this is another way you can do it using the calculator. The problem you might have is that your answer might not be exact. So you might not have an exact whole number here for your answer, and that would create some further problems. We might go over an example of that now or in a future video. So let's have a look at these questions. I would recommend you have a go at some of these questions, and I'm going to potentially have a go at one of them now. So let's have a go at question 2. In question 2, it gives us the differential curve. And if you're ever given the differential curve, what it's likely to ask you to do is to integrate it. It doesn't explicitly say for you to integrate it here, but it's clear that if you're given a differential, the next step would be to integrate. Find the equation of the curve. So what we need to do is do the same as what we did last time. So we're going to create an indefinite integral, x minus 2x squared. Now a common error here would be to put 4 and 2 and make it to a definite integral. This wouldn't work because when you are finding a definite integral, this is to do with things which are linking to x. And this links to x, the 2, but the 4 links to the y. So don't substitute these here. When you integrate, you also put d letter. So dx means it's in terms of x. So we're going to integrate first of all x. This becomes x to the power of 2 over 2 minus 2x increases by 1 to the power of 3 over 3 plus c. Now, we are going to say that this now equals y. What we want to do then is substitute in 2 and 4. So let's substitute x as 2. So x as 2 is 2 times 2 divided by 2. So that's going to be 2. X is 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Minus 16 divided by 3. Plus c equals y, which is 4. At this point, you might want to use the calculator, and I'm going to show you why this might be a bit difficult to use the calculator. If we take the calculator and we put in this function into the y equals, we're going to press clear. And on the y equals button, we're going to put in the function as we did before. We're going to type 2 minus 16 divided by 3 plus c, so plus x. 2 minus 16 divided by 3 plus x. We are then going to have a look at the second graph. Now, we want to look for when y is equal to 4. So you can see here that these are not exact numbers. So what you'd have to do here, there's a couple of ways of doing this, but you can press table set, which is on the window button, second window, and you want the table, rather than going up in ones, let's say they go up in 0.2. So let's see if this makes a difference. You've just got to make this smaller if it's going up in decimals with too large of a gap. This looks better. So we're going to have a look when y is equal to 4. Again, this is not working out wonderfully. So another way you could do this is go back onto the graph, and we're going to say y is equal to 4. See, I think this is a really complicated way of doing this, but if you're rubbish with algebra, this might work. So we've simplified this as much as we can. We've decided we don't like solving, so we're going to solve this equation on the left, which I've put up here, with this equation on the right. We then type graph, we can't see. So we're going to change the window. We're going to make sure the window is quite nice numbers at the moment. This is massive. Let's change this to minus 15 and 15. We're going to then press graph. Now, where they cross is what C is going to be. So we want to find the intersection. Second, trace. 5 is the intersection. We need to press the first curve, the second curve, and the intersection. And this skill is important to go over because this is useful in the topic exponential functions. So if you've forgotten how to do this, re-watch the exponential function video. The blue graph, the red graph, and then the intersection, which is the middle. And this gives us the value of C, I believe, 7.333. But I would prefer to do this manually because that's just so much work for that answer. So remember, you do know how to solve equations. I'm going to do this a couple of ways, probably, just to show you. I'm going to rewrite 2 so it's over 3. 6 over 3 is the same as 2. Plus c equals 4. Now I'm going to combine the two terms on the left. 6 minus 16 is minus 10. Minus 10 over 3 plus c equals 4. C equals 4, and we're going to move the plus 10 over 3 over to the other side. I'm doing this in lots of steps. If you're better at algebra than this, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to change the 4 so it's out of 3. If you're changing the denominator and making it 3 times bigger, you make the numerator 3 times bigger. So we're going to have 12 plus 10 over 3, and that's going to give us 22 over 3, which is 7.3 recurring. This is quite a long process again. So let's talk about a quicker way of doing it from this point here. I want to get C on its own. So to find C on its own, I'm going to take the 4, leave it where it is, and then I'm going to move the 2 and the minus 16 over 3. This is how I would do it if you're quite good at algebra. When you move the 2, it's going to become negative. So if we go on just the normal calculator mode, we're going to have the following. The 4 stays where it is. 4 minus 2, that's easy. and then minus 16 over 3 becomes positive 16 over 3. Make sure you include this in brackets. Now this answer is given as 7.333. Now, if the decimal's recurring and it's a nice recurring number, make sure you put a dot above it or you round it to 3 significant figures. So your answer should be 7.33. If you wanted to put it into a fraction, which you can, and you might want to put it back into a decimal, go on to math, and we want to put this into a fraction. So just press number 1, press enter, and there we go. And then if you wanted to turn that back into a decimal in a different kind of question, you would then do the following. Math, we want to put it into decimal, number 2, then press enter. So if you're not quite sure what is the best way to write your answer, and you don't know how to write this properly in your exam, you might just want to write it as a fraction, and that is one way of getting around these questions. Now, what I'd like you to do is have a go at these questions for me. We will be going over these in school, and I will probably be giving these to you as a homework. Good luck.